I'm diving deep into the myth of Medusa and trying to figure out if there's any truth to it in 2024. Can we separate fact from fiction? And what lessons does her myth hold for us today? Medusa is one of the most iconic figures in Greek mythology, symbolizing both beauty and horror. Her story has been told, retold, and reimagined countless times, from ancient Greek pottery to modern-day Hollywood blockbusters. What makes Medusa so fascinating is how her myth continues to resonate in modern culture, with references to her snake-covered hair and petrifying gaze appearing everywhere, from art to advertising. But there's so much more to her story than just the image of a monster that turns people to stone. The Medusa most people know is seen as a monster, cursed with a gaze that can turn anyone who looks at her into stone. She's depicted as this terrifying figure, a dangerous force of nature, and a creature that heroes must defeat. However, this one-dimensional narrative fails to capture the depth and complexity of Medusa's myth. It turns her into a villain, but in reality, Medusa's story is far more nuanced and layered. At the start of her myth, Medusa wasn't always a monster. She was once a beautiful maiden, known for her extraordinary beauty. In fact, she was one of the three Gorgon sisters, daughters of Phorcys and Ceto, who were ancient sea gods. Unlike her sisters, who were born monstrous, Medusa was human, and her beauty was so incredible that it caught the attention of many gods, including Poseidon, the god of the sea. This is where the tragedy of Medusa's life truly begins. Medusa's downfall happened when Poseidon, driven by his desire, attacked her in Athena's temple. What makes this part of the story so tragic is that Medusa, instead of being protected by Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, was punished for this act. In her rage, Athena transformed Medusa into a monster with snakes for hair, cursed with the ability to turn anyone who gazed directly at her into stone. This punishment can be seen as symbolic, reflecting society's treatment of women who are often blamed for the violence and harm inflicted upon them. The transformation of Medusa from a beautiful maiden to a hideous monster is a metaphor for trauma and the way society punishes women for actions that are out of their control. Her story touches on themes of victim blaming, where instead of condemning the one who caused the harm, society focuses on shaming the victim. Medusa was not only physically changed, but her entire identity was stripped away. She went from being a beautiful, admired figure to a feared and isolated creature, exiled from society and feared by all who heard her name. This version of Medusa's myth introduces a deeper layer to her character. Rather than seeing her as a villain, we can interpret Medusa as a victim, a figure who represents the trauma of being silenced and punished for the actions of others. The snakes on her head can be seen as symbols of the dangers of unchecked power, while her gaze, which turns people to stone, could represent the ways in which society reacts to the pain of others by freezing them out or turning them into objects of fear. Medusa's myth is also a commentary on power dynamics, especially the power that is held over women. Her beauty, which once gave her a sense of identity and strength, became the reason for her downfall. In this light, her curse can be viewed as a manifestation of society's anxiety around women who hold power. Once desired and admired for her beauty, Medusa was transformed into a being whose power had to be controlled, whose very gaze was considered too dangerous to behold. It's a reflection of how women, throughout history, have been objectified and controlled for their appearance and strength. But Medusa's story doesn't end with her transformation into a monster. It continues with the arrival of the hero Perseus, who was sent on a quest to kill her by King Polydectes. With the help of Athena, Perseus was able to confront Medusa without being turned to stone by using his shield to see her reflection. Armed with the knowledge and tools provided by the gods, Perseus beheaded Medusa while she slept, completing his mission and bringing her severed head back to the king as proof of his victory. Even in death, Medusa's power didn't disappear. From her severed neck, two powerful beings were born: Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, a giant armed with a golden sword. This moment in the myth demonstrates that Medusa's power was far greater than anyone realized, that even in death, she was capable of creating new life. Perseus, too, continued to use Medusa's severed head as a weapon, turning his enemies into stone, proving that Medusa's influence and power couldn't be fully destroyed. Medusa's head became a powerful tool for Perseus, used to defeat monsters and enemies in future battles. This use of her image, even after death, highlights the continuing fear and control that surrounded her power. But it also suggests that there's something inherently indestructible about her story, about the influence she holds over the imagination of those who come across her myth. When we look at Medusa in a modern context, her story holds important lessons. The way she was vilified and transformed reflects the ways in which society continues to demonize and punish women who don't conform to expectations. Her image has been reinterpreted in art, literature, and popular culture, often shifting from a symbol of terror to one of empowerment. Many see Medusa as a symbol of female resistance, a figure who challenges the status quo and refuses to be silenced. Medusa's transformation from beauty to beast is a reminder of how quickly society can turn on women, how power and control are often taken from those who don't fit into the narrow roles they are assigned. But by reclaiming Medusa's image as one of strength and defiance, we can see her story in a new light, one that speaks to the resilience and power that lies within those who have been wronged. In many ways, Medusa's myth is still relevant today. Her story speaks to issues of power, trauma, and the way society treats those who are different or feared. It's a myth that encourages us to question the narratives we've been given and to look deeper into the stories that shape our understanding of the world. So, what do you think? Is Medusa a monster, or is she a symbol of female power and resilience? Her story is far more complex than the simplified versions we often hear, and it continues to inspire new interpretations and discussions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to dive deeper into more myths and legends, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this.